Hey guys, Jebber Game and Jaws here. Welcome back to another episode. So I wanted to talk about gaming and doing it with other people. So I play a whole lot of one-player games. I really like role-playing games in general. Lately, I've been playing a lot of platformers, which is kind of odd, but I'll roll with it. I'm loving it, so I might as well do it while you enjoy it. But yeah, in general, I've always played really long, story-driven, character-focused single player games. Um, but it's never felt like enough to just play those and have that experience be only mine. I've always, since I was a kid, looked for people to talk about those experiences with. You know, it's like you want to have that shared experience and be able to talk about your passion and your love for these games, and these stories and these characters. And that's always been really important, so much so that when I was probably 12 years old, I was on a website. I had recently gotten my original PlayStation. Video gaming took off for me in a completely amazing and new way. And the internet was good enough, and we had a computer that I was able to get onto psxextreme.com and become a part of their forums. And I was on the forums so much and, built up relationships and friendships, with people on there. I actually ended up becoming a moderator. I never even asked for the job. They just, like, the site people just gave it to me because I was there so much. So that was kind of an interesting time, especially being so young. I don't think that I was probably the best person for it because, um, you know, being 12 years old, you don't understand everything, and eventually I ended up losing that privilege. They never told me exactly why, but I think that I probably got into some arguments and locked posts and things that I probably should not have done that wasn't probably fair. But hey, live and learn. So here I am now, 30 years old. Um, yeah, and to this day, I still really like sharing the experience of gaming. So it's a lot easier nowadays because of YouTube, because of Facebook, because of Twitter. Like there's this huge gaming community. Not to mention that there's just so many people who are gamers today. It's definitely more so than it used to be. Now, I think that was probably harder for people maybe in the generation before me, like, people who grew up in the 70s or 80s, versus I was born in 88, so I'm 30 years old right now. Um, I think for them, gaming still had way more of a stigma to it. There was somewhat of a stigma when I was growing up, but it was not anything like it had been before then. Um, and it was a little bit easier because I was a young boy, and basically video games were thought in people's heads like, oh, a young boy, that's perfect, like who cares? Like that's socially acceptable, that's acceptable that they want to do that. Little did society know that we were all going to grow up and keep a game, you know. Um, so that's kind of a funny turn of events there. Um, it's really nice, now. I can only imagine being an adult gamer at the time. I think that was looked at like pretty badly, like you're just a big nerd and stuff. Now people like make jokes about that, like in the community we make those jokes kind of tongue in cheek, like calling each other nerds and saying that you're a nerd and stuff. It's not the same negative thing that it used to be. Um, anyway, so one thing that was easier when I was younger was actually having like friends and family who were into video games also, because as we did grow up, a lot of people did stop gaming. A lot of my friends who were into playing GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 or Mario Kart or getting down for some Tekken on the PlayStation, they either moved on to other games. The first person shooter genre has taken so many friends as far as gaming because it's not something that I enjoy. It's not something that I like. I never got into it. The Call of Duties, the Halos. I don't mind that people play those. It's totally fine, but it was a little tough for me because it was like I really, really, couldn't share in that experience with those people. So I'm glad that they all got to do that, though. Maybe I should have pushed myself a little more to join that whole shebang, but we're kind of coming out of that now anyways. It seems like a lot of people are kind of tired of that genre as it is, so whatever. It's all what it is now. But yeah, that's one thing that's been tougher though, getting older, and especially moving to a new state has even been tougher with it. Um, you know, I have friends, a few friends who are into gaming. I've actually helped reintroduce some of my friends back into gaming. My brother-in-law Thad came over and played my Wii U and played Zelda, and he said that he hadn't played a Zelda in decades, and because of that experience, I actually went home and bought a Wii U, and then eventually bought a Switch and played Breath of the Wild. So that was really, really awesome. My cousin Jake, who lives out in Phoenix, Arizona, him and I talk about gaming a lot. It's really been nice getting to talk with him. He's actually almost more into collecting CRT televisions and learning about those even than the gaming, but gaming is still really important to him also. And so that's nice to, have somebody that you can bounce things off of. It's really nice to talk to people who understand how much you love something. I'm very, very grateful and thankful that my wife likes gaming. It's so funny because I was out of gaming when my wife and I got together. We were in college. I took about 7 years where I just lost interest, didn't care, was doing other stuff, didn't even think about it. I didn't even make a conscious decision to be like, I'm not going to game anymore. I just stopped. I just didn't care anymore. And I never expected it to come back. And so it's funny that her and I never talked about games when we were getting together. That was just not something that we were into. But since I got back into them, maybe 5 years ago, soon after we were married, actually, maybe like a year or two later, I got back into video games. And it was so funny because I got a Super Nintendo, and she had mentioned something about playing Mario when she was younger. So I ended up getting Super Mario World, and suddenly she was like hooked, and I was like, what the heck? Like, I had no idea. And I'm not going to go into this too much because eventually I do want to have a video where I actually interview her and talk about her history with gaming, because she does actually have like quite an awesome history of playing the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo when she was a kid. So that'll come at a later time whenever I can actually get her roped into doing one of these with me. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully you guys will too. But I'm very lucky that she is cool with my hobby, doesn't care that I collect. You know, we always have to, collect in our means and everything, but she's super awesome about just being supportive of something that I love. And, she enjoys gaming also. She probably never would have sought this stuff out, but now that it's here, she likes a lot of it. She still loves playing some Mario. Mario Kart we played a lot. She actually just started playing a game on my PS4, Life is Strange, that's what it is. More story driven. It's kind of a big leap for her, and she's really enjoying it right now, which is really cool. So I do really miss the days of having just a bunch of friends who are all into video games, who are close by. It would be so fun to just live right next to a bunch of folks that, were into collecting and into video gaming, and, you could hit up yard sales or whatever together, and you could, do couch co-op. That would be pretty awesome. My brother Jace is actually living in Pennsylvania temporarily, doing school out here, and I was talking to him the other day, and because we grew up with a Genesis, he actually played a ton of Sonic 3 with Sonic and Knuckles. You know how you put the cartridges together? So I think we're going to try and track down Sonic and Knuckles. I already have Sonic 3, and we're going to try and play that together. I think that would be super fun to get to experience that. And basically right now, platformers are taking over my life. I've been playing Mario and Shovel Knight. Oh my gosh, I've beaten Shovel Knight almost twice now. Love it. That game is absolutely phenomenal. Can't believe it. So, yeah, it's just really fun getting to share this hobby with other people. It can be kind of tough, not having people to game with, not having people to, who are quite on the same level as you as far as your passion. Because a lot of my friends who are into gaming, they're still not like as into it as I am. You know, like for a lot of people, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I game every once in a while and I do this every once in a while. And for me, it's like I just love it so much. And so when you find people who share that same love with you, um, it's really special. And they're obviously out there. That's been the nice thing about YouTube and things like that. You know, um, there are other people who absolutely love and are emotionally invested in, and you know the games change them, you know, and affect them, and they, you know, in all these deep ways. You know what I've experienced, and what I'm sure many of you guys have too. It's cool to hear other people's experiences. I love hearing other people's experiences about gaming. I love hearing people's memories. You know, it's like it's like seeing myself in someone else, and I think that's part of what I love so much about this whole thing. All right, guys, I think I've rambled on long enough. Leave your comments, leave your responses. I would love to hear about, you know, what gaming has been like for you as far as with other people. If you have a lot of people that you game with, that you talk about it with, or if it's been kind of like a lonely venture. I'd like to hear some other people's experiences. If you make a video like this, please leave a link to it because I would love to watch it. All right, peace out. Have a good one.